Welcome to Politics for Patriots. Here's your host, the eviscerator of progressive nonsense, the executioner of imbecility, and the grim reaper of BS, Eddie Zipper.
Big news yesterday, the movie First Man, a Hollywood biopic about Neil Armstrong, does not include a depiction of Neil Armstrong planting an American flag on the moon. Needless to say, this movie is completely dead to me. That is an utterly disgraceful omission. I mean, you may as well make a movie about the Battle of Iwo Jim and choose not to depict the raising of the flag on Mount Suribachi. Actor Ryan Gosling portrays American hero Neil Armstrong in the movie, and Gosling, proving that his goose brain is still not fully developed, had some thoughts on the omission of the stars and stripes. Apparently, according to Gosling, Neil Armstrong's moonwalk transcends countries and borders. What sort of globalist open border logic is this? We may have gone to the moon in peace for all mankind, but we did not leave a UN flag there. We don't take credit for the accomplishments of other countries, and we do not misplace the credit for our own accomplishments. Landing on the moon is an American achievement. Period. Real sorry if anyone is offended by that. Our U.S. president set the goal. Our U.S. astronauts trained and put their lives on the line. Apollo 11 wasn't the first Apollo mission. The crew of Apollo 1 they all gave their lives, paving the way for Neil Armstrong to someday feel the surface of the moon beneath his feet. Those astronauts are American heroes. Gus Grissom and Roger Chaffee, who were laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery, and Ed White, who was laid to rest at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. These are just three of the many brave astronauts who sacrificed to someday put a man on the moon. And they all did it with an American flag on their arm. History does not exist to be edited for the purpose of serving idealist ideology. There was a space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. A space race. It was a space race, not a space let's all hold hands and do it together. The space race was a battle for superiority between democracy and communism. Why are we handing out participation trophies now to anyone who was not involved? The space race was a battle for superiority between democracy and communism. It was not a segment of Elmo Learns to Share on Sesame Street.
Elmo really wants to eat both cookies, but he could give one to Cookie Monster.
President John F. Kennedy said, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win." To win. Here's a little known fact. Kennedy met with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev in 1961 and said, "Hey, let's make it a joint effort. Let's go to the moon together." Khrushchev said, "No thanks." So the U.S. did it alone. It was our government, our astronauts, our geniuses, our tax dollars, our national willingness, our workers. My mother-in-law's father worked for Grumman and helped build the lunar lander. For that, they gave him a lapel pin, which now belongs to me. On the back, the part that you can't see, it says Grumman, first manned lunar landing, and it has a picture of the lunar lander on it. on the front, the side that shows when you wear it, all you can see is the moon with a big American flag on it. So now, a revisionist history wants to say that America, you didn't build that. But we did. That's why there's an American flag planted in the Sea of Tranquility. That wasn't an afterthought. Hey, we've got this flag here. Wouldn't it be keen if we left it behind? Oh, that would be great. Let's do it. They didn't just think it up on the spot. The flags that were planted by all of the Apollo missions that made it to the moon had to be stored in a thermally insulated tube to protect from 2,000-degree exhaust gas temperatures. Okay, they thought ahead about this. They decided it. There was a committee put together called the Committee on Symbolic Activities for the First Lunar Landing. I swear, I'm not making that up. There was an actual committee who's had to make the decision and make a recommendation about what to leave there. The committee considered leaving a United Nations flag on the moon. They considered leaving an American flag on the moon. They considered leaving a miniature flag from every nation in the world. And I'm sure they considered lots of other ideas too. But God bless the U.S. Congress, who passed a bill that was signed into law by President Nixon, and here's what that bill said. The flag of the United States, and no other flag, shall be implanted or otherwise placed on the surface of the moon or on the surface of any planet by members of the crew of any spacecraft as part of any mission, the funds for which are provided entirely by the government of the United States. This act is intended as a symbolic gesture of national pride in achievement. Doesn't mean we stick the flag in there and we claim the moon as American territory. That's not what we did. It's symbolic of our achievement and the national pride in it. And if we go to Mars, we're going to leave an American flag on Mars, because it's the law. The moon landing was a national achievement. So Goosebrain Gosling also said, I don't think that Neil viewed himself as an American hero. From my interviews with his family and people that knew him, it was quite the opposite, and we wanted the film to reflect Neil. This is just one of the dumbest sentences ever uttered. I mean, that is just...
Feel good about that? Feel good about what you just said?
You know what that statement reminded me of? It reminded me of that scene in Jurassic Park where the Triceratops is sick and they have to go through its giant dinosaur-sized mountain of droppings to find out what it ate that made it sick. That mountain of dinosaur excrement is what Gosling's statement made me think of. A big pile of crap. All right, so the first bit of stupid here, let's break it down. Let's take a look at it stupid by stupid. All right, first bit of stupid. Heroism is not a condition of self-recognition, Ryan. Heroism is not incumbent upon the thoughts of the lionized individual. Being an American hero is not dependent upon the perception of the hero. It is dependent upon the perception of America. And did you ever stop to think, Ryan, that Neil Armstrong didn't walk around talking about what an American hero he was because he was humble? Did you ever stop to think that maybe Neil Armstrong didn't go around touting himself as an American hero because he wasn't a monster douche? Self-adulation is hardly the defining characteristic of American heroism. Okay, Abraham Lincoln is not famous for saying, 7 years from now, Americans will flock to Washington, D.C. to see the big giant me memorial. Great achievements speak for themselves, and great people tend to understand that. Now, there are some swashbuckler exceptions there, but in general, it holds true. All right, second bit of stupid. And really, I mean, this is the big one. This is the one that made me go full Fred Sanford when I read the statement. I read it and I was like,
well, this is a big one. I'm dying. You hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey.
Okay, so here's the second bit of stupid. We wanted the film to reflect Neil. Neil is the one who planted the flag on the moon, you unbelievable moron. How could showing him do it possibly not reflect him? Of course, nobody here is stupid. We all know that Ryan Gosling is just BSing us. He's just dropping what he thinks are some lovely platitudes. I mean, he may not even know the real reason that they're cutting this shot from the movie. That he might not even know. Okay, but I have my guess.
Like to hear it, here it go.
That was the great Calhoun Tubbs. Like to hear it, here it go. Here's my guess. This movie cost $70 million to make. That is a very big budget. They spend $70 million to make a movie because they want to make bank at the box office. See, movie production is a business. And the bottom line of that business is not artistic impact or aesthetics or accurate portrayal of historic events. The bottom line of that business is making the company lots and lots of money so that you get to remain in the movie business. If you don't make lots and lots of money, you're not going to be in the movie business very long. It's all about the money.
Dollar bills, y'all.
It is not 1985 anymore. Making box office bucks is not about making movies that have mass appeal in America. It's about making movies that have mass appeal in the world. Specifically, one of the world's largest movie markets, China. That's right. Hollywood movies can make bank in China. The only problem is that due to trade restrictions, China only allows the importation of 34 American movies per year. If you're going to make a few $100 million at the Chinese box office, you're going to have to get your movie past the cultural censors in the Chinese government. That means a few things. Some of them are weird. No time travel. I don't know why. Chinese censors don't like time travel. So if you make a time travel movie, you can just forget it. No supernatural elements, no ghosts, no goblins, none of that. No excessive violence. They don't like that. Negative depictions of the Chinese government or communism. Forget about it. Your movie needs to be politically anodyne to be allowed in Chinese theaters. How do you think the Chinese government censors would feel about a big dramatic scene with the planting of the American flag on the moon to cap off a space race that was a battle between democracy and communism? I'm thinking they're not going to like that very much. Yeah. You might run into some problems if you have that. So you're much better off, if you want to see those Chinese dollars, you're much better off cutting that scene out of the movie. Yeah, sure, you're going to piss off some patriotic Americans, but it's worth it. Listen, me and you listening and everyone else who's pissed about cutting the planting of the American flag, our $10 cannot compete with the take from the Chinese box office. The executive producer of this movie, First Man, probably knows that better than anyone. It's a fella named Steven Spielberg. You've probably heard of him. The success of his movies in China have made him the first filmmaker ever to gross $10 billion worldwide. All right, his movie Ready Player One tore it up in China. Those Jurassic World movies, huge. So pissing us off is a very small price to pay. I mean, my $10 and your $10 will hurt their bottom line a little bit. But it's going to pay huge dividends in China. And I'll bet you it will pay huge dividends when the Oscars roll around too. Yeah. You know the Academy is going to be crazy excited to hand out those statues to a movie that cut the planting of the American flag on the moon. They will probably add an Oscar category just for that called Best Triggering of Middle America. And the Oscar goes to First Man for cutting the American flag. Woo, yeah! You can let me know if that happens. I won't be watching. People say all the time, oh, they used to make good movies when I was young. Hollywood used to make great movies years ago. Why don't they make good movies anymore? And someone else answers that by saying, well, it's just because you enjoyed them more when you were young and the older you get. No, that's not why. It's because Hollywood isn't making them for you anymore. And that's fine. That's their choice. But I don't have to pretend the movies are just as good as they ever were. They contain less complex dialogue and stories. They contain nothing esoterically American. They don't appeal to American patriotism. Believe me, when I tell you that the days of spending a bunch of money to make Rocky IV are long gone. All right? Dude from Philly beats gigantic cheating communists and then wraps himself in the American flag. Ha! Not a chance you're ever going to see that again. That age of American filmmaking is over, and that is frankly just fine with me. TV shows are better than movies now anyway, right? TV shows are still being made with an eye on a domestic audience. If, like me, you enjoy TV shows better than movies now, that's probably why. And this is an aside, but I don't know if anybody watched Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime yet. Man, it is awesome. All right, it is fantastic. If you get a chance, watch Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. He's the Tom Clancy character, CIA analyst who ends up in the field. Crazy good, all right? It's the best show I've watched since like 24. If you watch it, send me an email and let me know what you thought of it. It's patriots@eddiezipper.com, patriots@eddiezipper.com. I want to know what people think about that movie, or hit me up on Twitter. At Eddie Zipper on Twitter. Alright, so now you've heard two explanations for the cutting of the flag scene from First Man. Explanation number one from Ryan Gosling. Putting an American flag on the moon does not properly portray Neil Armstrong, who actually did plant an American flag on the moon. But somehow that does not properly portray him. Explanation number two. My explanation: more money to be made if the movie doesn't offend Communist Party Chinese government censors. I'm happy putting my theory up against Gosling's, and I'll let you decide for yourself. Alright, so by contrast to the American movies that no longer incorporate American patriotism, Chinese patriotism is huge at the Chinese box office. Wolf Warrior 2 is like the Chinese Star Wars in terms of box office dollars. All right? In terms of story, Lang Fang is like, that's the protagonist in the movie. Lang Fang is like the Chinese equivalent of Rambo, right? He's former Chinese secret ops, and he has to fight the big bad American soldier of fortune whose name is Big Daddy. I watched the trailer, and the production value of this Chinese movie, Wolf Warrior 2, looks like pretty much what you would see in a big-budget American film. All right, another interesting thing about the trailer, it's full of Chinese flags. The hero has one hanging from his arm. All right, Variety says, the movie Wolf Warrior 2 has sparked rethinking in both China and Hollywood over how best to approach and exploit the Chinese movie market. And I'll tell you what, I don't doubt that one little bit. Yeah. So I think we all know which theory of why that scene was cut makes sense, and which theory is the load of dinosaur-sized excrement. So I can tell you for sure, there is no way that I'm going to hand over my hard-earned $10 for this movie. I hope that you're not going to hand over your hard-earned $10 for this movie either. And what I'm saying here is not, oh, we should boycott. I mean, I'm not like, a boycott organizer. All right, I'm not a community organizer. I'm not President Obama trying to put together a giant big effort to boycott a movie. I'm just saying, think about whether or not you want to spend your $10 on what is quite obviously an attempt at revisionist history. It's an attempt to pretend that the whole world was part of the U.S. effort to go to the moon, which it most certainly was not. All right, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please subscribe on iTunes, leave a review on iTunes. Both of those things would be really helpful for me, and I would appreciate it. You can email the show at patriots@eddiezipper.com. That's patriots@eddiezipper.com. And like I said earlier in the show, I hope you'll check out Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime and let me know, email me and let me know if you liked it or not. All right, that's all I got for today. I'm out of here.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
You just listened to Politics for Patriots with Eddie Zipper. Email the show at patriots@eddiezipper.com and please subscribe.